There's not a lot of people who say, I love where I get my tickets from. There's no brand loyalty, there's no community. And in that, especially on the secondary side, there's also the concept of non-transparent ticketing fees. So effectively, whenever somebody goes to buy a ticket, they spend $100 on a ticket, and then they go to check out, and it's $160. And they're like, "Oh, where did that other $60 come from?" And it's very frustrating. Not only is it costly, but even outside of the economic side, it's very frustrating because it's non-transparent. If we provide a sense of community and a loyalty and a brand where somebody can come and get value, and over time, as they spend more and more time within that environment, get more and more value, we believe we can provide this shared ownership concept and build a true community around passion-related interests.
You're listening to the 26 Podcast with Luke and Adrian. On this show, we celebrate the Web3 community, discuss the latest in blockchain-based projects, and help each other live our best lives. We're glad you're here, so let's get started. Well, welcome, listeners, to the 26 Podcast. We are very excited today to welcome a very special guest, Mr. Ed Vincent from FestivalPass. Ed, welcome to the show, man.
Good to be here, guys. I appreciate having me on.
Absolutely, glad to have you. And we've had a chance to know each other for a good while now. I think maybe a year or two. But excited to have another local Austinite on the show today. So really looking forward to talking more about FestivalPass, kind of how you got into it and all that type of thing. But I'm going to go and kick it over to Adrian. Can I get us started?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ed, man. I appreciate you guys being here. I am a FestivalPass holder myself with the lifetime membership. So I'm always glad to meet you, not necessarily in person, but at least on the camera. So, but just kind of start off, man, with kind of like a brief introduction about yourself, maybe a little bit of background on the company, maybe some of the motivations of what made you create FestivalPass in itself. But if you can share that with me and some of our listeners, just kind of give us a little background on you and the company, that'd be awesome, man. So how did it all go? Where did it all start off from?
Well, you're appropriate to say that because there's context to everything. So the whole idea of FestivalPass came about through most of my professional background, and I'll give you I'll start from the early side, and I'll go quick from the up to the current day. But I've been an entrepreneur for well over 20 plus years. I was from New York City. I was a banker in New York City right out of college. Kind of did that whole financial thing. Thought it was, the holy grail was to go be an investment banker in New York City. After a couple of years, I got the itch. The truth of it is, while I was at the investment bank, my buddy Pat and I used to throw these big parties. So we throw like 2,000 person New Year's parties and stuff like that in New York City. And this was all, I'll date myself from an age perspective. This is all the internet 1.0 days. So it was back in 1999. So during that time frame, we would throw these big parties, and the way we'd collect money back then was we'd meet on a street corner in New York City and get a few $100s in cash and give a couple of tickets to the party. We started realizing that, hey, we could actually do this online. Like people could actually just buy the ticket to the New Year's party online. And that just kind of opened our eyes to, hey, we really have to do something in this internet 1.0 thing. We started our first e-commerce company. My friend Pat and I, he was the co-founder, called City Stuff. It was the things that made cities famous. We sold, like, if you're from various cities, there's things that made them famous. I don't have to go deep into it, but we grew that company, millions of dollars in sales, and ended up selling that company a few years later in 2001 to a competitor called E-commerce Solutions up in Stamford, Connecticut. Following that company, I started a experiential marketing agency. We had about a 70-person team in New York City, and we would bring a lot of big major brands into big major live events. So I started getting a taste for what live events really were and how much I love them. So some of the brands, they could have been alcohol brands or just consumer brands. Some of them we bring into activate at a concert or at a festival, or even just doing activations for those brands and creating our own events for them. We have a lot of fun things we used to do back in the day. Even in the movie theater space, we would do Click at a Flick, where we partnered with an online dating company and Absolute Vodka, and everybody would come to the movie theater, have a couple drinks before the movie, watch the movie, and then if they clicked, they hung out afterwards and did what they did. But we had that running in probably about 10 cities, and it was all good times. We even helped launch a bunch of film festivals back then. We helped launch the Vail Film Festival. We worked with Sonoma Valley Film Festival. We even owned one down in the Dominican Republic. We ran that for 4 or 5 years. And then for some of your listeners who are old enough to remember when Maxim magazine, the men's magazine, was kind of like a peak, top magazine. They were known for their big Super Bowl parties, which actually that's probably the one thing they still do today is they still throw a Maxim Super Bowl party. But back in the day, this was back in 2005, 2006, we co-branded a hotel down in the Dominican Republic with them, called it the Maxim Bungalows, and had a lot of fun down there. Fast forward from that, I ran this experiential market agency, but it's really kind of where I fell in love with live events. That's kind of the reason to bring it up and give you perspective around that. Following that, I had a B2B SaaS business that I started. It was in the franchise and multi-unit space. And that's where I learned about subscription revenue, where the idea that, hey, if you can build something where people pay in a subscription revenue, that really helps the future forecasting of the business and actually ends up creating a higher enterprise value for the business, even if the margins are lower. Ended up selling that business to a portfolio company of one of our investors at the time. That was around 2014. And from there, I went back into the service side of the business and started a data and analytics company in the entertainment space. This gets a little more closely related to the why of where FestivalPass comes. So we had big clients in that space. It was myself. I started it and brought in 2 partners after that. A&E Networks, big television network, was a client. We really helped them understand their entire audience intelligence platform to be able to understand data across all of their networks and shows. Very similarly, for another big network, AMC Networks, you guys probably all heard of The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, all those TV shows. They were all clients of ours. Multiple film studios were clients. And then if you've ever been to the movies, when you see ads running for the first 20 minutes of the film, there's really only 2 companies that nationally sell those ads. It's either NCM or ScreenVision. ScreenVision was a client for a long time, and we really helped them predict who was going to be sitting in the seats. So continuing along in that movie side of the business, another client was a group called movietickets.com, which a lot of people heard of, but then they got bought by Fandango a few years back. But we really helped them understand all the transactional data they had. So we were kind of pretty known in TV and film. And this brings me to the point where there's an infamous company out there that many people have heard of called MoviePass. Have you guys heard of MoviePass? One of those absolutely. Kind of iconic meteoric rise and then fall of a company. But at the time, MoviePass was interested because we were the known entity in TV and film for data. They really needed help. They were growing very rapidly at the time. I think when I joined, or at least when they hired my company, they had a couple million subscribers, and they were growing really fast. I think they peaked in total at about 3.5 million subscribers. But they needed help with their data, and we were kind of the known experts. So I spent about 18 months as their de facto chief data officer. I was never a full-time employee, but I was 4 to 5 days a week in their office working with all the senior management team. And then later, over time, I ended up taking over product and even one of my business partners became the CTO of the company on contract for a while when they really needed help trying to fix some problems. But the thing about MoviePass, if you guys remember what it was, it had a great product market fit, but it had a very bad business model. The MoviePass business model was pay a low price per month, go to unlimited movies, and they ended up subsidizing tickets for, millions of customers. So MoviePass at the peak was losing $10 to $20 million a month just subsidizing movie tickets. There was many ways they could have fixed the business model. And ironically, they're live again today as a company using a business model that we had recommended many times throughout the process. And the issue that happened there is the person that was running the holding company, that was a publicly traded holding company that owned MoviePass, didn't have any incentive to really drive a sustainable business. He was really focused on raising money in the capital markets. So there was a conflict of interest in the way kind of the business was really being built. But I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do in developing and driving and growing a sustainable subscription-driven business. The thing that was kind of an eye-opener at the time is there was a company called ClassPass, which people may have heard of. Have you guys heard of ClassPass? So ClassPass,
Yep, I've
I
used it.
have not.
yeah, so it's a pretty cool concept where people pay a monthly fee, they get a bunch of credits, and they can then spend those credits to go to exercise classes, which one day could be a yoga class, the next day
Mm.
could be a spin class, the next day could be a gym, or whatever it happens to be. You choose how you want to spend that. And ClassPass had a lot of the same problems MoviePass did early on before they moved over to a credit-based currency, and that's really one of the key important things. So they burned through hundreds of millions of dollars early on trying to figure out, well, how can I provide a model that allows dynamically priced inventory to be profitable? And when they came up with the credit-based currency, that was kind of a magic sauce. And what it did is it allows them to charge a flat monthly fee. The users get credits, and then they can spend those where, a yoga class at 8 a.m. with the best instructor might be 20 credits, but a Pilates class, or call it a spin class, at 3 p.m. in the afternoon when everybody's working might be 6 credits. So the idea was they were allowed to create different pricing, but still maintain a flat monthly subscription fee. So understanding that, learning that, I spent a bunch of time with some of the architects of that credit-based currency model. I started thinking about, well, hey, what's an industry that's really, really big, that hasn't been innovated on in a very long time, that could benefit from a membership-driven, subscription-driven model. And with my passion for live events from my previous years, I decided after extensive research that the live event business was a great place to go. So in the live event world, it's a $200 billion global business across music and sports and comedy and all the other pieces that make it up. It's really a massive business. And as most people know, it really has been the same old business for decades, meaning that you have a primary ticketing company. You guys know all the names: Ticketmaster, AXS, and many others. And then you have the secondary market, which you guys have heard of, whether it's StubHub, SeatGeek, Vivid Seats. And each one of them is very transactional in nature. There's not a lot of people who say, I love where I get my tickets from. There's no brand loyalty, there's no community. And in that, especially on the secondary side, there's also the concept of non-transparent ticketing fees. So effectively, whenever somebody goes to buy a ticket, they spend $100 on a ticket, and then they go to check out, and it's $160. And they're like, oh, where did that other $60 come from? And it's very frustrating. Not only is it costly, but even outside of the economic side, it's very frustrating because it's non-transparent. So traditionally, the way people acquire tickets in this market is they'll go Google a ticket they want to go to, whether it's Beyonce, or you pick your favorite artist, or Dallas Cowboys or Austin FC or whatever you want to choose. You end up getting a listing of a bunch of ticketing companies. Each one of them is paying advertising dollars for that pay per click. You end up on one of the sites. You get frustrated after a while because you don't know what the final price is. You shop around a little bit, and eventually you get to a place where you want to go to the event, and you end up buying the ticket. And you get frustrated and you swear that I'll never come here again, until 3 months later you want to go to another event, and you Google it again, and you go through the same process. So the key there is those platforms are rebuying that same customer over and over and over again, because there's no loyalty to a specific brand especially in the secondary market. So in our world, when we set out to build FestivalPass, we kind of looked at it in a more simplistic sense, is to say, well, if we provide a sense of community and a loyalty and a brand where somebody can come and get value, and over time, as they spend more and more time within that environment, get more and more value, we believe we can provide this shared ownership concept and build a true community around passion-related interests. So when I like to explain what FestivalPass is in kind of an elevator pitch to somebody, I often just say it's ClassPass meets Amazon Prime for live events. And people will ask that question, and they'll be like, okay, I get the ClassPass side if I've ever used it, because it's a credit-based currency. It makes sense. One last thing on ClassPass, which is important to note, is once they used the credit-based currency, they were able to scale into 100 plus countries. They sold for close to $2 billion to a company called MindBody, and they're still thriving today under the MindBody ownership. So it's just relevant for people to see is once you kind of figure out a model and you can scale it with millions of customers, it makes a lot of sense. So the ClassPass side meets Amazon.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, I was just going to give the example
of
the Amazon Prime side, which is often interesting that a lot of people don't fully click around, is you guys both have Amazon Prime, I'm sure, just like the rest of the country, right? So the likely reason you have
absolutely.
it is the likely reason is because of free shipping. Then you also get some benefits. You also get some free movies once in a while. If you like Audible books, you get some discounts on Audible books. You get some Whole Foods discounts. But ultimately, you join it and you have a perceived economic value from the free shipping. And then you have a few other things for the membership that make you happy and you stick around. The key is, most importantly, your behavior changes. So what happens is now, as an Amazon Prime member, when you want to buy something online, 9 out of 10 times, you know that the thing you want to buy will be on Amazon, whether that's a pair of shoes, whether that's, anything you can think of that's a commodity-like product that you'd find on Amazon. You don't anymore go to Google to find that product. You just go to Amazon, search for it, because you know you're getting free shipping. You know it's probably going to be about the same price or cheaper than you'd find anywhere else. So you don't even bother going through that whole process. That's important for Amazon because now for them, each time you're buying something new, they're not repaying to acquire you again. Because you're a member and you have Prime, they're not rebuying you every single time they're selling you something. And that's why they have a big advantage over the classic direct-to-consumer e-commerce market, because those DTC companies keep rebuying you every time they want to sell you something. So now if you take that analogy and you put it to what FestivalPass is, our free shipping is no additional ticketing fees. So the idea of us not charging those additional ticketing fees and ultimately providing our members, anywhere from 10 to 30% in cost savings for getting their tickets through FestivalPass versus elsewhere, is our free shipping. Additionally, we're continuing to add more and more benefits to the platform. One we currently have today, which I know Luke's taken advantage of, is we have hotels on the platform. And as we continue to build more and more inventory of our hotel partners, we continue to get better and better in how we price those hotel units. So people will get discounts on hotels going forward on their ability to purchase that. And we'll add more and more benefits as we scale and as we grow. Some of those benefits could be, special access to events or tickets that don't exist elsewhere. It could be, potential meet and greets. We're also going to be including kind of a monthly contest giveaway that if you're a paid member of the platform, you get access and free entries into this paid giveaway. So there's all these other benefits that over time will get better and better and better. But ultimately, the key for us and the reason why we can provide, no additional ticketing fees is because once we have a member in our environment or become a member of our platform, we're not having to rebuy them each time they want to go to an event. The goal is once you're a FestivalPass member, we've acquired you once, and now whenever you want to go to an event, we're likely going to have that event on our platform, and it's likely going to be 10 to 30% cheaper than if you went to any of the other secondary markets. So of course, over time, that will get better, but in principle, that's why we call it ClassPass meets Amazon Prime for live events.
So like tons of stuff that you said in there that was super interesting to me. One is, Maxim doesn't make me that old. I actually was a subscriber of Maxim magazine. I loved it forever, and now I feel old because I did know what Maxim was, and I don't read it anymore, but I was a big fan of it at the time. So that one definitely jumped out at me.
We all loved Maxim back then.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
No, go ahead. I was just going to divert to silly stories.
What'd you say?
We're good. I was going to divert to some Maxim related stories, but it's okay. No, there's just two small stories.
No, we like Maxim stories, dude.
Yeah, two small stories. Well, first of all, the reason we were able to build that partnership is at the time, the current CEO was a guy named Stephen Colvin, who was a friend, and they were going through this process of doing some cool licensing deals across the board. And but obviously, back in the day, they were known for their kind of big events and, obviously the Maxim girls and everything that went with it. And I remember the first event we had down at the new hotel back then was we did a Miss Maxim World, and it was interesting. So every Maxim is licensed throughout the world. So there's like at the time there's at least 50 different countries that all had their own versions of Maxim magazine. So each one of them sent a girl for this Miss Maxim World. So you can imagine the party that was thrown down in the Dominican Republic with a girl from pretty much every country in the world competing for the title of Miss Maxim World. It was kind of funny. And then the other thing is
Wow.
the Super Bowl parties were always like the things that were unique. And my friend, the guy Pat, who happened to be my original co-founder and the guy I used to throw New Year's parties with back in the day, he's just a big personality. And he also knew this gentleman who was the CEO of the company, but instead of asking him for a ticket into one of the Super Bowls, he wanted to find a way to get in himself. So basically, he put an ESPN hat on and brought one of those little thumb mics and like a little camcorder. This is back in 2005 era, and he just jumped onto the red carpet at I think it was the Jacksonville Super Bowl back in the day, and he just started interviewing all the athletes and celebrities. There was no tape whatsoever in the video recorder. He just went like from person to person. And then halfway through it, he said to the quote unquote cameraman who was holding my old JVC, camera that he borrowed from me before he went down there. He's like, "All right, here's the deal. Go inside and tell him you have to use the bathroom, and don't come back out." So he went in, and then my buddy Pat, he just went celebrity to celebrity right down the red carpet until he got through the doors and kept talking to people. And before you know it, he's like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm in." And just moved on. It was just one of those funny stories. And
I love that.
We finally later told the CEO the story, and he thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
That's how you get in. That's how you get in right there.
That's awesome. I love it. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about FestivalPass and kind of how it works from a user perspective. So you mentioned a couple of things when you were talking about. So obviously there's a few different pieces. So there's live events. So it could be music, could be sporting events, could be stand-up comedy. You also have hotel booking. So do you want to talk just a little bit more about kind of how the program works from either from a Web3 perspective, but you also have like a Web2 audience as well. So I'd love to kind of hear just a little bit more about how that works.
Yeah, sure. So we have 3 tiers of subscription in the regular Web2 space. So basically, people can sign up for $19, $49, or $99 a month, and each tier receives a different amount of credits per month for that tier. Each one of those tiers also has an annualized program. So if somebody commits to the $49 a month tier for 12 months, they'll get a discount, and if they pay up front, they'll pay less. And then in addition, that's more the Web2 side of traditional, very much like a ClassPass model. And then we do have the Web3 side, and it's the beginning of what we're going to be doing in Web3 and blockchain. But that's what we call the lifetime pass. So the first thing to mention is currently anybody that comes to the platform, even if they sign up for a free account on FestivalPass, we automatically spin up a custodial wallet in the background. So everybody within their settings, if they just simply go in, they'll see a wallet, and they'll see the custodial wallet, which is a crypto wallet on the blockchain. And most people may not even know they have that, and they might not even understand it. But the first reason for that to be there is so that if somebody wants to purchase a lifetime pass, which also is a digital asset, it's on the Ethereum blockchain, they go in and they can purchase it with a credit card. And if they choose to pay, they can pay one price with the credit card, which currently today, I think it's at $2,350. And then every 100 or so that we sell, we increase the price. And we're only ever going to sell 10,000 in total of these lifetime passes. So it's one of those things that if you get in early, you're getting in on this really good deal. And the last of the 10,000 will sell for about $6,000 each. So overall, the expectation is, members will end up paying about $4,000 each across all 10,000 on average. So that's why it's exciting for people that hear about it now. Like I think both of you guys, are both lifetime members, and you probably got in even lower than the current $2,350 price. So it's an exciting concept to enable people that are willing to join the platform early, get a really amazing deal. And even those paying $6,000, ultimately the process will be more mature and we'll have more members and community on the platform. So even at $6,000, it's a pretty valuable asset. And again, because it's a digital asset, which you guys know crypto very well, is it can be bought and sold on the secondary market at whatever the market value is at any time. And you could imagine once all 10,000 sell out, there'll be a demand because people will hear about it and they'll realize, oh, that's an amazing token or amazing asset that I would like to have. And the likelihood of being able to resell that token or that lifetime membership will increase, and potentially the value could increase because of the demand issue. Different than a lot of other digital assets and tokens, it's one of the few that has this amazing utility, which gives you $1,200. Maybe I should explain that, right? So you pay once for the digital asset, you get so they can purchase it with a credit card, or if they wanted to use Ethereum or Bitcoin or any other digital currency. But if they buy it with a credit card, immediately what happens is that asset gets minted and then drops into their custodial wallet. So now they own it and it's theirs. What it does is it also immediately unlocks $1,200 worth of credits on the platform. And then every year on the anniversary of when they first bought that asset or the lifetime membership, their tokens get refreshed again. So their credits get refreshed to another $1,200 worth of credits they can use on the platform to go to any event, use for any hotel room, or any other future use case that we might have to be able to redeem credits for. And what's cool about that is they have that in perpetuity every year. So they receive it once, and then each year they get it over and over and over again. So buying it today, within 2 years, you're fully paid back, and you keep getting credits year after year after year going forward after that. So it's a really, really cool, interesting thing. The reason we do it, and a lot of people kind of say, okay, well, why do you even bother with that? How is that economically feasible for you guys? What are you going to do about it? So it really solves two core issues for us. Since we're capping it at 10,000 memberships, it does two things, right? It enables us to really bring in 10,000 super fans that really want to leverage and use the platform and be part of the community. And you guys are a great example of that. And really share kind of the model of FestivalPass with others. And in so doing, that flywheel effect of those 10,000 super fans really helps us grow the overall community for all the other traditional, Web2 memberships. So our expectation is over the next few years, we'll have millions of at least free members on the platform, hundreds of thousands of paying monthly and annual members. But then we'll always have this group of 10,000 that were, call them the OGs or the original, the lifetime pass holders. And not only is it a privilege to be part of that group, we'll continue to have more and more benefits that we give to that lifetime membership group to make it more and more exciting. And events where people can come together and get to know each other, and numerous other aspects of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for the most part, as I've seen, like the folks that have them, they don't sell them usually. Like I think I've only ever seen one listed on OpenSea. I think people know
True.
like, hey, this is a viable thing to keep. So I think as you start to have, once you get to that 10,000, it's going to be even more so. So one will pop on the market and people will probably swarm on it at that point. But it's been really cool. So in terms of like kind of where you're at, so obviously we're in the US, but do y'all have like international events also, or is it pretty kind of North American focused, or where do the events usually take place that y'all have on site?
Yeah, it's a good question. So on the platform, we have over 80,000 live events at any given time. I mean, usually maybe there's 60,000 at a given time, but 80,000 plus throughout the year. And they're almost all currently in the US. So pretty much every city you could imagine throughout the US has it. Every once in a while, we'll get some theater tickets in London or something in Vancouver. But the reality is 99% of the events are happening in the continental US. And for hotels, that's a global perspective. So all the hotels on the platform are pretty much any hotel you can think of anywhere in the world. So we do have some members that are in Europe that end up exclusively using the pass for hotels. because of the simple fact that we don't have that many events anywhere else except the US. But that will change over time, right? So as we continue to grow and really build out the US and North America, I mean, we'll be adding a lot in Canada as well soon. The next step will be events in Europe, and then thereafter we'll go elsewhere. We're really just concentrating on the core, US base at the moment.
Awesome. No, that's great. And I think a lot of our listener base is in the U.S. We actually have a good amount of folks actually in Germany and Australia as well. So if you want to put those guys on your list, I know they may be interested in getting there, but they can get hotels. So that's great.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. I love that, dude. It's a when it comes down to like the community events or the community or building the community with FestivalPass. How do you guys kind of build that community within the FestivalPass, or even the pass holders or the subscription holders? I know, we saw a few South by Southwest membership or lifetime membership events that you guys have thrown, but what else do you guys do to kind of stay in contact with the community itself?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that we're doing and releasing, and there's a couple things that are currently live now, but the features aren't fully how do I say perfected, so we haven't really announced it yet. But even you guys right now, everybody on the platform gets a public profile, and what that means is when you go to your public profile, and you'll be able to see all the events that you've gone to in the past, all the events that you're going to go into the future. Also, anytime you're on the platform and you're on a performer or a sports team or a venue, you can like it. Just that little heart that people are used to clicking, or the like button on a Facebook or something like that, is once you've done that, you're basically telling everybody, this is what I'm passionate about. These are the bands I like. This is the sports teams I like. But all of that is shown within your public profile. Also, the location that you're in, whether you're in Austin, Texas, or Los Angeles, California, that's shown right in the platform. And the reason for that is we're encouraging people to begin to connect with and follow like-minded people related to their passions. So whether your passions is American football or your passion is, the Rolling Stones, if you end up going to a public profile that shows somebody, you would be able to see what they like, and you might say, oh, they like the Rolling Stones. I like the Rolling Stones. They're in Austin, Texas. I'm in Austin, Texas. And even stuff for the sports side, I think, will be even more impactful as we go forward, where, you'll have other people that like Austin FC or like UT football. And once you connect internally on the platform online, you'll be able to start building a relationship with those people through the public profiles and the ability to message them, and then could plan, offsite things, whether it's like, hey, we all like to go to this bar for happy hour prior to the game every month. Why don't you come join us, or whatever? So we're really excited to enable people to share their passions and then connect with each other under the guise of FestivalPass around the things that make them, passionate. And that's kind of our biggest goal of all, is to build this community of people that like similar things. And there's not much else in life that is apolitical. So what's cool about passions in entertainment, whether you're a sports fan, a music fan, a comedy fan, it's not about the divisiveness of the country, right? It's not about this side or that side. It's not, it's like, hey, I just like this band. You seem like a cool guy or girl. Let's go hang out. So I'm excited to really build that positive aspect of community where it's both online and offline.
No, that's super cool, dude. Community is so huge, I think, especially more so in the Web3 space, and probably not just Web3, it's Web2 and Web3. But it's so cool just to have like these in real life events, especially when you meet other community members and you're able to meet these folks in real life, or even go and experience an event together. I think that's one of the big things. I think that's so powerful, the community. I'm definitely glad you guys are doing that. And by the way, on a side note, it's cool to see that you guys have so we don't have a major league team in Albuquerque. We have a AAA team. I think it's AAA, called the Isotopes. Yeah. So it was actually cool to see that I can buy tickets to the Isotopes. I didn't know that beyond today, because I started searching on it because I'm already out of points. but it was cool to see that. And then of course Fluffy is also coming for his comedy show. I want to say this week. That we were seriously thinking about going, and I have to say, dude, You go to another site, you're like, okay, that's expensive, but I'll book it. And then you see how much fees you're paying. And then when you go back to Festival Pass and you're able to see like, oh shit, I can book them here. So I love the model, dude. I love what you guys are doing. And it's so cool to like have what you would call the free shipping of festivals. I'm loving it, dude. So
Yeah, one
maybe I'm
other
just
fun
throwing
thing
you
about
flowers, dude. I'm just throwing you more and more flowers.
no, no, it's all good. I appreciate it. I was going to say one other cool community building thing, and it really just takes time to build. As we build larger groups of members in certain cities, we'll start taking a little more investment action to make even cooler things happen. Like, as an example, here in Austin, a lot of the big concerts are like at the Moody Center. You guys have probably been there before, at least Luke has. There's boxes there, or there's a lot of arenas that have different, VIP boxes. So in the future, we'll likely in certain cities take a box for all the shows that happen in an arena. And for example, there's usually 20 or 30 tickets, if you will, for a box. Not everybody gets to experience that kind of, experience in a big arena, right? Usually it's either corporate business development or, people taking out sales people taking out potential clients. But a lot of individuals don't usually have that access. And you can imagine how cool it would be is to go to an arena, 20, 30 people in the box. It could be a sporting event or it could be a music event, and all 20 or 30 people are Festival Pass members, and they're able to go with one or two people and get into that box because they're a Festival Pass member. So that's just one other example of building community, and then we'll eventually have a bunch of different partnerships with big producers of events and festivals, as well as artists themselves, so that we might have special Festival Pass sections at a festival, so everybody can come and be part of the community.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love that.
And those events are so cool to do too, because we had a chance to go to the one that you had at South by Southwest. I think it was last year over at Stubbs, and it was just a blast just to get to hang out with other folks there. Unfortunately, it ended up getting rained out. There was this horrible thunderstorm that night later on, and we all had to take shelter inside this room there. But it was a blast before that, and it was even kind of fun doing that part too. So I thought just a cool thing, and looking forward to more of those as well. Because I think, like Adrian was saying, the in real life connections that you make with people just are just so special in the space, especially with Web3.
I was going to share a little bit more about some of the Web3 stuff, because I know I think a lot of your audience kind of is in the Web3 space. And I just wanted to share that the lifetime pass really is just the foray and entree into leveraging digital assets. Some of the things that will come about in the future, which I think you guys can almost understand the progression, is everybody has that custodial wallet already. So as people engage on the platform, we'll start issuing different digital assets for different actions on the platform. So let's say, for example, there's one venue you like to go to, and every time you get a ticket to either a sporting event or a concert at that venue, you get issued effectively a commemorative proof of attendance, digital asset, whether it's an NFT about that venue. But the cool thing is then you can collect them, right? And after you say you have 10 of them, it unlocks some value, and whether that value is merch, another free ticket, or whatever it happens to be. What's cool is because it's a digital asset, people can trade those as well. So there'll be the ability within the platform to even trade some of these digital assets. So let's say you have 9 of these NFTs you need, and you need 10 to go to a specific event. You just go buy one on the open market for 10, 20 bucks or whatever it happens to be to unlock it. And that starts creating this whole gamification process that gets really exciting for people. And it also helps the community build together because they're trading these digital assets with others in the community.
That's awesome.
Dude, that's neat.
Yeah. And I'm one that, like, once there's like a number of things that you have to collect, like there's 10 total, it's like I'm very susceptible to these things where it's like, okay, I need all 10. There's this other collection out there. They have issue cards for each of them. And there was one that was super rare. Usually they have 1,000 or so in them, but one only had 69 of them. And I didn't get one, and it is killing me that I don't have it, but it's way too expensive for me to buy that one. So definitely a cool thing. Got to collect them all, like the Pokemon thing. That's totally me. So I will, once those get going, I will have to get them all.
Cool. No, it sounds good.
That's awesome, dude. Well, cool, man. To change it up a little bit, dude, just to make it a little bit fun. So you got to tell me, like, what was the? It seems like I'm almost assuming that we're probably the same age because we all keep saying back in the day, and we
Yep.
start talking about the internet wave and that we're all kind of part of it. I'm sure we were all on our computers, on America Online, dialing up with our phone line. But you got to tell me, dude, what was your first concert that you ever attended?
Sure, Rush. Rush at Madison Square. Well, it wasn't at Madison Square Garden. Sorry, it was at the Meadowlands. And in the Meadowlands, the arena where the Nets used to play was called the Brendan Byrne Arena. So it was Rush at the Brendan Byrne Arena.
No, I was just gonna say how exciting that was to say that Luke and I's first concert was MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice wasn't that big back then, but he got big after that little tour with MC Hammer. If
And TLC,
Yes.
TLC was also on the
TLC
card
was
too.
there,
Yeah, they were the
Really?
opening act. Like they were not discovered really then. They just happened to be touring with MC Hammer and Vanilla
Wow.
Ice, and then they blew up bigger than the other two guys like after that. But yeah, it was a good time. I think
We're
I was 7th grade. Adrian, you were 5th grade. I want to think say.
somewhere on there. Dude, I was supporting some baggy pants. Were you wearing baggy pants? I don't
Of
remember.
course, got to take the Hammer pants. You're seeing MC Hammer.
MC
Like-
Hammer pants.
I grew up in Jersey, so that we saw a lot of that in Jersey.
Dude, it
A
was
lot
a
of the baggy
cool
pants.
and non-cool when you look back at it. Those were cool times, but it was definitely awkward. I don't see it ever coming back, but maybe it will. Maybe it will.
You never know.
I don't know. I mean, the mullets came back. It's going to come back. Like there's everything cycles back around. I feel like.
Mullets.
Yeah, I mean that's a Texas staple now.
Awesome.
You get some mullets and a mustache.
That's right. That's right.
I still call it the porn stash, dude, but I don't know.
Well, that's like Andrew Schultz from the comedian.
It's a thick stash.
The
Right,
comedian
yes.
Andrew
Yeah.
Schultz.
So we
right?
saw him.
Yes.
He's great. So we actually saw him at VCon last year. So he was the comedy act at VCon, and he was hilarious. And yeah, he's got interesting hairstyle and facial hair situation going on.
So we were talking about the Tom Brady roast, dude, Luke. So if you watch it, he's on there again,
Oh,
doing
nice.
his thing as crazy as ever, as it usually is. Even at VCon, it was nice to see his first act. But I'm a big comedy guy, so I like comedy shows. Again, we were just in New York, and some of the comedy, I was actually going through FestivalPass to see what kind of comedy tickets you guys or venues you have, which you do. So it's, dude, I'm pumped, man. I'm definitely having a little FOMO, dude, that Luke has a lot more festival passes than I do. I should have gotten one more.
You can still get
I
him.
still can. I still
get
can.
them before it grows. We have the buy now pay
I know,
later
dude. I'm
feature,
looking
right?
at it, I'm like, shit. I
Yeah.
know. I love it. I love
It
it.
was interesting to
So
bring that
awesome.
up though
Well,
for your audience. Just to say that we do have that buy now pay later feature where people can get it for a couple $100 a month for 12 months and still get the pass.
I saw that too. If you could too, because my own question mainly is, and I know you touched on it briefly, but I'm always thinking, especially with Web3 products, or just Web3 projects in themselves, in terms of sustainability. And I know you touched on it mainly with like saying maybe it's more of like the word of mouth, but what is your guys' kind of plan with making sure that those lifetime memberships are sustainable over the years to come?
Sure. So, in the big picture, I'm happy to share the way the economics work. Not a lot of people fully either understand it or want to take the time to do so. So I'm always happy to share it. So ultimately, as we sell all 10,000 of those lifetime passes at approximately $4,000 each, that will bring about $40 million into the business. And with that $40 million, we'll hold it in a separate account and just invest it in very conservative assets. So call it a 6, 7, 8% return. And effectively, by having that pool of funds, we project that our liability of fulfilling tickets against these 10,000 members ends up being about $6 million a year once they're all sold and as we go forward. So that liability of that 40 million, it's earning interest the whole time in the process. We'll be able to sustain the fulfillment of these tickets for well over a decade, just from the capital that has come in directly from those asset purchases. Additionally, after the 10,000 are sold, as they're traded in the secondary market, there'll be a royalty that we'll receive from the trading of those assets in the secondary market. So we'll have another form of income coming in to continue to support that. And then the reality is, after 10 years, the hope is, one, everybody will get a ton of value, but also we'll have hundreds of thousands of paying customers and millions of people in the community that we won't really worry about that $6 million of liability on an annual basis. It'll just be a marketing expense.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks, man, for answering that. So it's always one of those big things, dude, where everybody is always curious about, right? They want to know how long you're going to be here. But I think you guys got a great business plan. I love the subscription models. It's definitely one of those things those are some of the great businesses right now that are all subscription bot models. And I'm sure all of us kind of have some of those in some form. But no, man, I appreciate you coming on here and talking more about it.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely. And this has been really great. So a couple of things I want to just kind of close out with. So definitely want to share with our listeners how they find you, like if they are interested in looking into FestivalPass, either in a subscription model, or if they wanted to go the lifetime subscription route, kind of what that would look like for them in terms of where do they go, what do they do, do they need a wallet if they are new to Web3, that kind of thing, and then just where to find you all on socials and things like that.
Yeah, so the easiest place is just our website, FestivalPass.com. They do not need anything special crypto-wise, because once they just sign up for a free account, it just immediately will spin up a custodial wallet. So it just sits there that they can access at any time just by going to the settings in their account. And if they choose to purchase the lifetime pass, which they can do with a credit card all up front, or they can choose buy now, pay later and pay it over 12 months. Once that happens, the asset is automatically minted and drops right into their wallet in their settings, and they're good to go to use it to use it for credits to go to any show or book hotel rooms or whatever they need to do. So that part's super easy.
Perfect.
Just following us on social, just to finish that question, is it's Get Festival Pass on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and just Festival Pass on TikTok. But we'll continue to push content there as well, just to keep people informed.
Do you guys have any community sites like a Discord or anything that you guys use?
We do have a Discord, and to be frank, is we started pushing the Discord early on, kind of during the time of the NFT world, and then we found that more and more people were signing up for the platform were not crypto native. So we tend to spend more customer service time through traditional channels, but there is a Discord. People can join it. It's just Festival Pass. They'll be able to find it, and it helps, I guess, for community of people that are there to engage. But we'd really like to see over time people engaging right in the platform itself. So going to the public profile, filling it out, engaging with other members in the platform, and just being able to kind of enjoy people around their, the passions that they have, because you can see what people are doing in the platform, which really makes it easy to engage.
Totally agree.
Awesome. Very cool. Ed, it's been great to have you on. Really appreciate you spending the time with us. Really enjoying my membership to Festival Pass. So looking forward to many, many more years of that to come, hanging out in future events, that kind of thing. But thanks so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Same, guys. Absolutely. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for tuning in and spending some quality time with us. We're all about bringing value, and we hope today's episode hit the mark for you. If you like what you heard, follow us wherever you get your podcast, and while you're at it, give us a rating and share some comments letting us know what you'd like us to cover in future episodes. If you know someone who'd appreciate our content as much as you do, we'd love it if you share this podcast with them. It really means the world to us and helps get the word out. Here's to growing together and bringing you more incredible content week after week. Until next time, friends, keep chasing your potential and living your best Web3 life.